Welcome to the Bill Levinson Experience, a motivational podcast relating to the insurance brokerage industry and business in general. And now, here's Bill Levinson.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time and listening to the two of us for the next 30 to 45 minutes here. Here we are on the Bill Levinson Experience podcast. We are literally 2 weeks away from our big annual Agent Expo, which is April 12th, 2024. Super excited about that. We have a record number of agents registered already. We're over 300, which is just huge for us. And to think just, 15, 20 years ago, we had 30 people sitting in a card room at the local Marriott hotel. We've come a long way, and it's because of you all. And, you know, it's very important to me, and it's been our goal. It's been my promise to our audience, our agents, our agencies, to stay ahead of the curve in any way we can, and then teach you all how to leverage technology, the latest platforms, lead programs, the hot products, you know, anything that you need to be successful, right? To push you over the edge and differentiate yourself over the competition. That's the name of the game, and I think we've been very successful at accomplishing that, because today we have over 23,000 agents, as you know. And also, I'll give you the 100-foot overview of today's episode. It brings me back, you know, almost 25 years ago. And I met a woman, her name was Puri, and she owned a company called Apis Productions, you know, and her job back then was to build out agency websites, okay, IMO websites, just like us. So I remember saying to Carrie, my father, I said, you know, Carrie, we have to invest. At the time, it was like, you know, $5,000 or $6,000, and we have to build a website with a quoting engine, and it can't look cookie cutter. You know, it's got to be very informative and tell our story. And he looked at me like I was crazy. He said, Bill, we are not investing $5,000, $6,000 into a website that most people aren't going to use. And I said, Dad, you are out of your mind. I'm going to pay for this myself because it must be done to be successful. So I remember Puri comes down from Maryland. We had breakfast on the beach on A1A at a hotel, and we had this discussion about our website and about launching it and about putting it together. And it seemed like yesterday, but in fact, it was over 20 years ago. And you fast forward, okay, and just listen to that type of conversation. You fast forward to today, 2024, right, post-COVID, thank God, right? And here I am sitting with Danny McKeever, who is the marketing director at Apis, okay, works with Puri, and we're talking about technology that's on a whole nother level. And again, going back to the same root of helping our agents stay in front of their competition. Look at how far they've come, right? Look at how far we've come. Look at how far agents have come, okay, and a short time, and it's astonishing. I love to share these stories, and here we are again sitting here Friday, right, March 29th. In fact, Carrie's birthday's on Sunday, so we're celebrating today, and I'm sitting here with Danny, and we're talking about some of the latest technology, what he does, what they do as a company to help agencies, BGAs, IMOs, and even some agents, okay, get to the next level and leverage the latest technology. It has become so important, okay, and I know I'm in a little rant here, but I just want to take one more minute before I have Danny take the wheel. Think about this for a second. I mean, I know we have thousands and thousands of listeners from across the country, okay, even some globally now, and some of you are not even in the insurance industry, okay, and some are, and some are not, and that's okay, right, because if you can learn something today, walk away with a nugget, it's a win. But think about this for a second, okay, and by the way, I hope you're taking notes and you remember some of these nuggets and use this stuff in your daily practice, because you're going to learn a lot. I'm going to learn a lot from Danny today. But think about this. This is what it all comes down to, okay? You think about 20 years ago even, Okay, and think about agents out there, and it doesn't matter. I'm talking about insurance agents, but whatever it is, real estate, stockbrokers, whatever, it doesn't make a difference. CPAs, 20 years ago versus today, okay? The average consumer, the prospect, the customer, the client, they have access now, even through their smartphone, to research and look up everything that you're talking about or pitching with a life insurance product, a policy, a quote, whatever it is, okay? So 20 years ago, primarily, yeah, they took your word for it. Now, everything and everyone is being fact-checked, right? So the average customer across the country, okay, is out on their phone or their laptop or iPad or desktop saying, I want to learn more about IndexUL, and is this the best company, and are they A-plus rated, and do they have a guaranteed 0 is your hero floor, whatever it is. So that means you as an agent pay attention more. You have to have better technology. You have to be proactive. You have to know what these terms are, right, when a client brings them up. Right? Artificial intelligence, chat GPT, right? You have to know enough to be dangerous, or the client, especially the younger generation, they're going to move on to the next agent. Okay? It is so important. So again, if you think that, hey, I'm 82 years old, I've been doing this my whole life, I don't need to know this stuff, guess what? That consumer is going to go to the younger agent that has the great website and quoting engine and social media presence. I promise you, okay? And it doesn't matter what age you are. So anyway, that's my 100-foot overview on today's conversation, on today's episode. And I am delighted to introduce Danny with us today. Again, Marketing Director from APIS. Danny, welcome to our show. We appreciate you, buddy.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks. It's great to be here. Great to talk to you always.
Yeah, no problem. So let's, and by the way, I asked Danny to do me a favor and speak to our agents, our audience today, so I can launch this officially by Monday and then at the Expo, which again is in 2 weeks. So we appreciate him taking the time. But Danny, let's just back up for a second and tell us, how it began for you, how you got into this crazy part of the industry and with technology and insurance. Just give us the 100-footer, if you will.
Yeah, it's been a great journey, and I'm very happy I landed where I did with APIS. But my background has always been sort of marketing and communications based, but I have an analytical brain. I love data, and I also, have a whole side of me that loves to code and create solutions for problems, and all those things sort of eventually married themselves together. And I discovered this fantastic company called APIS Productions, and I think it's been about 7 years now. And I met Puri and the crew, and they're all very capable, talented people, and it's just a great cultural fit for me too. And I began doing some work for them and their clients. We have a lot of wonderful clients, a lot of BGAs, a lot of IMOs, and I really immersed myself in the industry, and I kind of fell in love with it because it's all about protection. It's all about helping people. And, that nothing makes me happier than to help the people who help people. So that's sort of how I ended up, here and in the industry. And man, I've just met so many wonderful people and helped solve a lot of problems. So it's been great.
Yep. No, I love it. And one thing that you said, which is so important, is you obviously came from a tech background. And
yes.
And now you're on the life insurance side and annuity side, and leveraging all of this great technology and your skills. And you saw a gap, right? And there was a huge gap in our industry. There always has been for so many years.
Yes.
So by you bringing all these great programs and platforms, tech, to an industry that was so far behind, right? You saw a hole here and you filled it at APIS. It's crucial. That's what got us to the level that we're at today, is because we saw this coming years ago. I partnered with Puri on so many of our platforms, and that's the reason why we're in this position. When a lot of IMOs, I hate to say it, but they were either bought up, they were sold, they're out of business, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. So you were very, very smart. I feel like timing is everything. And it was a win-win for Puri and yourself and, of course, all your customers. So I don't know. I just love to see this and hear this.
Yeah, it was a good fit. I mean, they had Puri had developed a single sign-on solution, one of the first and definitely the best in the industry, so that agents can access, all the different various e-submission tools from all the various vendors by simply logging into your website, and then automatically logs them into everything else. That was sort of her first real play, and that just ballooned. I mean, it started building everybody's websites. We started connecting them in a much more meaningful way to technology. And you're right, the industry had a gap. It's several years behind when it comes to technology. So we're trying to keep everybody at the bleeding edge. And, that's really what we do. That's really what we do here.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. And to watch you guys grow over the years is just insane. I mean, it was pretty much, a 1 or 2 person show for a long time. And now Puri has this whole team she built. Yeah, it's unreal. I just love it. And we kind of grew together along this path, and we have the same beliefs, and I feel like our mission is the same, and again, it's about helping people, and we're all doing a great job of that. Okay, so let's I want to switch gears for 1 second, and we have a lot of people listening, and agencies, agents, carriers, even all the above. And so they're all saying, okay, great, this sounds wonderful. I'm listening to how great APIS is and how Levinson has grown over the years. Tell me about the programs, platforms, packages that you all offer, right, to the customer, right, which would be us or a large agency or agent, whatever it is.
Well, one of the first gaps I saw was a marketing gap, huge marketing gap, which you fill that very beautifully for your agents. Your website, you offer more resources than, we have a lot of clients, right? When I go on your site, you offer so many resources for the agents to succeed. Well, we wanted to do that for the BGAs. And, they don't all have really a marketing strategy. They don't really know how to use LinkedIn effectively. They don't know how to target an email marketing campaign in a meaningful way. In order to not just for recruitment, but also for re-engagement of maybe some agents that ran policy through them in the past, but haven't so much in the last year or two. And we're always trying to find ways to help them. So we created very reasonable marketing packages so that they can take advantage of our team and our human capital. We've got an incredible creative director. We've got a fantastic marketing team, and so we leverage that to just help connect them to more agents in the marketplace. And that's one area that we do things. And then from the tech side, we have a lot of exciting stuff coming up. I'm not sure when in this interview you want to get to some of the artificial intelligence tools that we've been developing.
We can do it now, Danny. Let's just jump right in.
So with my coding background, I always try to research and stay on top of just sort of stay on top of whatever the emerging trend is and make sure I understand it in and out. And so obviously when large language models, such as OpenAI, ChatGPT, most people know it as, and many other language models beyond just theirs, there's hundreds of them actually, got developed, I said, oh, well, this is wonderful. We can semantically talk to data, and that's a lot more fun than filling out a form. And so I wanted to make sure I understood how to utilize it. And I began.
Danny, let me ask you real quick.
Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I know we have a lot of listeners from the ages of 17 years old, literally, to in their 80s and 90s. So in layman's terms, before you jump in and go deeper, can you just give everyone the 100-foot overview on ChatGPT and AI and how an agent or agency can leverage these things?
Absolutely. And, in a nutshell, very large language models, which refers to a model of data, of words, how people speak, what words go after other words. There's a lot of minutia there. but they ChatGPT will stick with them because that's something everybody kind of has heard about. They trained these models, these robots on servers through trial and error and a lot of work and a whole lot of money to be able to answer questions based on data in a way that sounds like anybody speaking or writing. And when you go on ChatGPT, you can, for free, you can use and speak with this language model and ask it to perform tasks for you. So, for example, I actually just met with a client the other day, and we were just talking about this like 2 days ago. And what they had done was they had an email they wanted to write to some, just thought it sounded boring. They wanted it to be more exciting. So they put it into ChatGPT and they asked it to take this, email I wrote and make it more interesting. That's what they asked. And the language model knows what make it more interesting means or interprets that, and it rewrites it for you. So what I find, especially in these kind of early days, these Wild West days of AI, is I think agents could use it for content creation to help them with copy. It can also answer questions because it has data. So if you wanted to know more about specific type of annuities or trusts or anything, ask it and it will grab data that it has gathered from the internet and bring it back to you in a unique way each time. But I think leveraging it for the agent right now, the most powerful and safest way to do that would be in copy and content creation. Maybe you need to get some flyers made and you need some better language than you can come up with on your own. Not everybody is a natural writer, but you can iterate over and over again very quickly with this technology. And, it's free at the moment as far as just talking to their model.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I think that this is going to be something that just becomes bigger and bigger, and agents are going to be leveraging this and get more and more comfortable in agencies. And then let's also, and then I want to go back to what you were saying when you were starting to dive deeper. But let's talk about Billy the Bot too, this new robot that will be on our website within the next week or so that Danny actually created for us.
Yeah, Billy the Bot is awesome. So here's how I wanted to leverage it for our clients, like for example, for Levinson and Associates. The ChatGPT model, it knows everything from the internet, or whatever it was last trained on the internet. So it has a lot of knowledge. But sometimes, you want to create the robot and code it in such a way that the data it's speaking to is more specific. And Levinson and Associates has a lot of programs, a lot of marketing programs that they offer to their agents. And, when you go on your site, there's a lot of menus, a lot of drop downs, you got to find things. And what we wanted to do for Bill, with Billy the Bot, was create a robot that knows about Levinson, that knows about all your offerings, that an agent could ask, what's the accelerator program? What marketing programs do you offer? Right on your website. And the robot will, in a very friendly way, kind of like a friendly librarian, tell you a little bit about whatever program you're asking of and direct you to a link right to that part of the website. And so we've been over the past, many weeks, feeding it that data and then, testing it, asking it questions, and it always gives the right response, but, sometimes you want it to know even more. And in this way, we control what the robot knows. So you make the robot, you code it in such a way that you make it an expert on just the knowledge base you want it to talk about. So it's not going to tell you what's the best Sonicare toothbrush to buy when you're on Billy the Bot. It's only going to know about Levinson and Associates and all the things you're doing to help your agents succeed.
I love it. Yeah, so think about this. So from your chair, right, you'll be able to go into our website, levinsonandassociates.com, and instead of saying, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know where to begin, where to end, you'll literally click on Billy the Bot, and you can put in what is Insure Me Now Direct, and it will tell you, or give you the link, or both. And you'll say, oh, how do I get contracted with this company, and do they have an advance? And it will tell you. So no more going from page to page and spending 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour trying to find what you're looking for when it's going to be right on Billy the Bot. And this isn't, 2 years away. This is about a week away from launching. It'll be officially launched by the expo. So just think about, that's when we say, how this technology will change the way you do things for the better. Okay, so you can move on to your next client. This is exactly what I'm talking about, the proof in the pudding. So now you understand. Yeah, yep.
I mean, because time is everything, right? Yep. I mean, time is your most valuable resource. They don't make more of it. You can't get it back. And so any way to make you more productive and to save time, that's how I view this technology helping, not just Levinson and Associates and other BGAs, but our species. Every time a technology emerges that can make us more productive, that can value our time better, and allow us to prioritize, towards the dreams and goals we have. If it's more business, better bottom line. Anytime a technology emerges that allows us to do that, I think it's really important not to be afraid of it, but to leverage it, because it's a real opportunity. And so, Billy the Bot, in a lovely way, will save all of your users of your website quite a lot of time. It'll give them answers immediately from semantically asked questions. So that's how I view it being used.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited about this, and we'll be the first IMO in our space to launch it. So super excited. And what I want to do now, and by the way, I appreciate everything and all the effort and time you put into this, Danny. It's awesome. And what I want to do is discuss and with you, if you don't mind. So everything that you guys handle, I know we got off track for a second, but can you break it down? I know you have these packages, but can you get into analytics and the email blasting and blogs and just get, if you're an agent, putting your agent hat on, 2024, you got your insurance license tomorrow, what are you leveraging it with your platforms?
So first, if wearing my agent hat, I have to identify my market. What clients do I want to attract, right? Because that changes what magnet you use to attract them. And with marketing in this space, there's really three channels that I find most effective. There's social media, but there's lots of choices there. If you're going after a consumer like Danny McKeever, find me on Facebook. Of course, that's maybe where I'm living my life. But if you're going after Danny McKeever, the business owner, you're going to find me on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is very, very, very effective. Most people are on it. Anyone who works is usually on it in some capacity. So you want to identify where your market is, and then so that you can go to them with your marketing. And when it comes to posting on a social platform, whichever one, you just need to be consistent with your message, your branding, and you need to post, at least a couple times a week. You don't need to overdo it. You're not an Instagram model posting every day, smiling in front of some statue. You're running a business. And so you want to post at least a couple times a week consistently, not just to reach out to your people, but also to let the algorithm of that platform, be it LinkedIn or Facebook, recognize that you are posting consistently. That's the key, the consistency and perseverance. And with email marketing, once you've acquired that list of prospects, make sure you do your best to research that list, understand who they are or what demographic they are, what age they are, so that you know who to target what solution for. Because ultimately you're trying to protect them, whether you're protecting their assets, whether you're protecting their mortgage, with a term policy or what have you. Once you know where those people are at in their lives, if you can discern that information, then you can create a really effective email marketing campaign. And you don't want to harass them with it. You don't want to email them every day. We all get way too many emails in our inbox. But, you send out an email. You wait till you get the response, who opened it, who didn't, who clicked through to your site. And then you react again in a meaningful way. You're always supposed to authentically, in a meaningful way, provide value to the client. You're not just selling. You're showing how you can make their lives better. And I think that's key, is to just ignore sales. View it as you're giving something of value to them, something they need, and you're educating them on why they need it. That's really what it is. It's beyond sales. And then with your website or your Insure Me Now direct page, that's a platform. It's a landing page to kind of bring everybody together where they can see everything you offer and kind of give them a one-stop shop of where to go in order to reach you for your services, whether that's a website, whether it's a page on Levinson. And those are really the three channels. It's landing pages, email marketing, and socials. And of course, there's always the good old-fashioned telephone. Everybody likes a conversation, right? But when you're trying to reach out beyond and expand your market reach, you use the three channels I was speaking about to do so. And so we offer packages, for our BGAs, and we focus hard on those things. We'll do 8 social posts a month, 2 a week. We'll do, however many email marketing campaigns, compared to how many lists of target audiences they have. We might be running several campaigns for different lists. And then we bring them all into landing pages, and we kind of try to keep it congruent, meaning if they see something on LinkedIn and they click it and it takes them to a landing page, what that landing page is going to kind of look and feel like what they saw and clicked on LinkedIn. There's kind of a thematic approach to all of it.
Yeah, I love it. And by the way, Danny's talking about, his BGA customers. There's no difference for you, Billy the agent, out in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I mean, you should be doing the same exact thing, okay, with messaging, with branding, with bringing people back to your home page, with posting, at least once a week, your newsletter. You should have a monthly newsletter, and you should, if you're utilizing the Ringy app, with texting and automated emails and Calendly, for clients setting up appointments and you accepting on your cell phone, you have to look at the big picture, just like he mentioned, and the one thing I loved what you said is being consistent and persistent, because if you're not, and this takes years, okay, it doesn't happen overnight, it doesn't even happen in a month or two, so you have to keep your foot on the gas even if you're not seeing much progress. It's something that eventually you come around the turn and you go, oh my gosh, you know what, that Billy and Danny guy, they were right. I see what they were talking about, but it's a year and a half later. Okay, so I think that's important to know.
It is. It's funny. There was this great philosopher, German philosopher named Goethe, right? Was his name, and he has this wonderful line that I've thought about throughout my entire life. And he said, "In the realm of ideas, everything depends on enthusiasm. In the real world, everything rests on perseverance." And there's real truth to that. It's exciting to talk about, what your next move is, especially if you're just starting out, or maybe you've been in business a long time, but you're adopting and adapting to a new technology, new strategies. There's a lot of enthusiasm. And so many times then when we start that, we're expecting an immediate result. And that's where the real world comes in. And you have to persevere, through perceived failure, because you're not failing. If they're not opening your emails, it just means you need to try a better tagline. You maybe need to give them a different angle of what you're doing. You just keep iterating and you keep trying. And more than anything, you persevere. That's how everything great that's ever happened in this country has happened, is through hard work and perseverance that began with enthusiasm.
100% right. I love that. Absolutely love that. And it's a fact. I always say, like in my quotes, very similar. It's all about work ethic first and patience, number two. Yeah. Because those two things are crucial, and that's in line with what you're talking about. So especially when it comes to marketing and branding and web. So I also want to talk about, and I know some people are very comfortable with these terms and platforms. Some are not. That's okay. Mm-hmm. We're here to help and educate you, right? Just like you should be doing for your consumers. But let's talk a little bit about, and I know we're adding a feature to Insure Me Now Direct where you'll be able to write your own blogs and articles and start some SEO work, which is search engine optimization. And then we have an analytics plugin that's actually available now. So, and that's complimentary. As long as you're writing your first app, we pay for that. So, Danny, can we take a second and talk about those three things, maybe SEO, blogs and analytics and how important that is?
Yeah, absolutely. And let me just explain the terminology, in case there's somebody who doesn't know. It's never too late to learn new things. So SEO, or search engine optimization, sounds complex, but what it's referring to is we all use Google at any age. That's a technology every one of us has adopted. So when you're searching for something on Google, Google is a search engine that helps try to retrieve the answer to your query, to your question. And search engine optimization, when it comes to content or a website, is all the things you can do to help Google or Yahoo or Bing, whatever the search engine is, all the things you can do to help people who are looking for your services, maybe your services in your local area or just your services in general. Help Google return as one of the results your website or your digital location of business, whether it's a website, a web page, or what have you. So that's all SEO is. It's what can you do to optimize and give Google and the search engine everything it needs to return your result. And the same is true on LinkedIn, by the way. It has kind of its own algorithm. So people looking for things, how you want to get your posts in their feed. It's very similar. And in order to optimize that result on your behalf, there's tricks and tips and things you can do. You need to help the robot, the algorithm, see that you sell annuities, or see that you focus on long-term care or retirement planning or whatever it is in your space. And when you write a blog, and it's fantastic that that's coming out for the Insure Me Now Direct customers, because what a blog allows you to do is give the robot, the algorithm, more words to understand what it is what services you provide and what knowledge you have. So let's take long-term care, just, for an example. You can write a blog about the importance of long-term care planning for asset protection, right? And in that blog, there's going to be headings, that talk about caregiving in the United States, the rising costs of long-term care, all these phrases that the algorithm will read and associate with as an answer to somebody else's question on Google. So somebody might say, how can I protect my assets if I require, extensive medical care as I age, or if I have Alzheimer's, what have you. And then Google will scour the internet. It'll find a whole bunch of things. And if you persevere with your writing and kind of building up your knowledge base on your platform, whatever it is, Google will find you. Now, the only way to know and return that result, the only way to know if Google finds you is to track the data. And the data, which we just call analytics, and when it's Google, we call it Google Analytics. So the plugin that's available now that you were talking about is something that Apis and Levinson set up for their Insure Me Now Direct customers. And what it does is it allows you to see how many people are visiting your page, if they're downloading any files, if they're clicking any links, and it gives you sort of a snapshot every week or 2 weeks of the behavior of people on your page. And this is true for, if you're not an IMND customer, any website you own. If you're an agent out there with your own website or a trader, anybody with a website, Google Analytics is free all by itself. It kind of takes an entire education to learn how to make the most of it. But you're basically trying to understand the behavior of people who find you online and then using the knowledge of their behavior in order to improve your offering and improve your marketing so that you can drive more targeted traffic towards your offering. And that's sort of those two things in a nutshell, if that answers your question.
Yeah, no. That's great. That's great. I love it. And even if you're thinking to yourself, right now, this is too much for me, or, I don't know where to begin, you start slow, okay? We're here to help you. We have 11 marketers in 3 different states, right, that know enough to be dangerous, that can help you get started. If we need to bring in, Danny for anything, or if you want to utilize some of their services, I can make the introduction. If it's a good fit, we have no problem with that. And then we even have for our larger MGAs, in fact, we have some IMOs that work with us that are our size. But we have an option where you can even mirror our site, for different plugins and features. So that's another platform that we can look into as well. So the list goes on and on. But I think the biggest takeaway here is you have to think about this for a second. We started, like I said, Kerry started in 1972, the company. I came in almost 25 years ago, and we had a few hundred agents in South Florida. So this is a perfect example of, proof in the pudding, a small footprint. So I come in, I'm learning the business, and I remember it was so boring. My first year, I was falling asleep by like 2 o'clock in the afternoon because it wasn't fun. It was, you think about life insurance, selling and recruiting, and you think about the short sleeve dress shirts and the old MetLife guys that have their dress tie that stopped at their belly button, in their brown Cadillacs. It wasn't an exciting, fun industry. But here's the point, and this is the most important point. Look back, right? And if you've been in the business that long, or even 10 years, 15, it doesn't matter. You can see the changes. But here we were in South Florida, a few hundred agents, by utilizing the latest technology each year, right? I partnered with Paris, like I mentioned earlier, built this great website, started e-blasting, collecting emails, right, instead of phone numbers. That was a big step back then. And little by little, with e-blasting, podcasts, newsletters, our YouTube channel, social media platforms, and Insure Now Direct 10 years ago, okay, we brought that to the surface. People thought I was crazy. Insurance companies said, Bill, there's no way we're going to sell a product unless your agent is face-to-face with a consumer. It's never going to happen. They're not going to do this on their own at 2 a.m. like Amazon. You're wasting your time. And today, we have over 30 products on the platform, and it's all 100% direct-to-consumer. So going back to my point, though, so fast forward to today, I believed in my gut, right? I saw what was working in other industries, and I said, why not? I was curious, right? I put my money where my mouth was. And even if it didn't work out, it's okay. I picked myself up. I tried something else. And look at where we are today. And I'm not a genius, and we're not, the biggest and the best in the world. But look at just the small footprint from 200-300 agents to 23,000. And now almost every city in the U.S. Okay, we did something right, and it's because of everything Danny and myself is talking about today. Okay, so you can do this, even if it's an agent, a smaller level, and you're only working in 3 counties. Okay, you can do this, and then next thing you know, you're working throughout the entire state, and then you get your non-resident license, and you're in 4 states, and it just keeps going and going and going. But you got to be persistent and consistent. So that's the key. All right. Anything else that you want to add, Danny? I have a couple personal questions too for you. But anything else before we move to the next part of the episode?
Well, yeah. Just real quick to speak to something you were saying. Please. You were unafraid to try new things and to try new technologies. And God, I remember when I was a little kid and we got an Apple IIe in our library. Right. It was a big deal, right? And and a Commodore, whatever that was, the Commodore 60-something or other.
Commodore 64. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, my brother had a little typewriter that was electronic, and that was a big deal. And, the thing with the world moving as quickly as it does, I think sometimes people get overwhelmed. If you sit down and don't pay enough attention, and then you get up a year or two later, philosophically speaking, or technologically speaking, you'll look and there'll be all these new technologies. Just like, how our grandparents didn't know how to work the VCR, right? And they would always ask us to. But you don't need to be afraid of it. It's easy to get overwhelmed. But if you just kind of breathe and use each of these technologies, you don't need a shotgun with 16 pellets all at once trying to conquer all the new tech that's out there. Think of it more as an arrow in a quiver. You take your time. You take your aim, you learn what you can about one thing at a time, and then you take your shot and you use it. And if you can just sort of relax into how fast things change and do it at your own speed, I guarantee you will absolutely learn or gain some level of mastery over whatever technology you're putting your attention on. And I think it's important not to get overwhelmed, because you'll be too afraid to take the risk and you won't learn anything. So it's important to get up and be passionate and enthusiastic, especially in the realm of ideas, to be enthusiastic about learning these new ideas and just do it at your own pace so that you don't get overwhelmed.
I love that. I love that. And instead of looking at the huge macro and saying, oh my gosh, where do I begin? Start small and start with one or two of these ideas and get them going, and then see what you think. Do you have to make a change? Just keep going. I totally agree with that. Some great points, Danny. Thank you for that. And, I also think, and as you were talking, it made me think about, the grandparents, VCR and all that. And then you think now when your grandparents have their own Facebook page, how things have changed, right?
Yeah,
and
amazing.
And, yeah, it is. And then, we have our largest case in history, okay, and I think this is a great example, was from an 82-year-old man, was the agent in Texas, 82-year-old agent. Guess what? He was utilizing Facebook ads, and he created a lead in Austin, and that's what led to a $1.2 million annual target premium whole life case. $1.2 million of annual target premium. You can imagine what the commission was. Almost enough to retire for this guy.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So my point is, it doesn't matter if you think, oh, I'm over the hill and there's too many moving parts. This was for when I was a younger guy or girl. No, there's no excuse. Okay? Especially when you see what this man did. So, and that's a fact. And if you go to the expo, by the way, you'll hear more. In fact, he's going to be at the expo. So it's a true story. Okay, so just a couple more things, and then we'll put a bow on this today. But I want to ask you, Danny, you've obviously come a long way. You're helping Pari and this company tremendously by bringing in your expertise and your skills, right, from the tech side. Question for you, if you, Danny McKeever, could go back to 10 years, what would you have done anything differently to be even more successful than where you are today? And this could be personal, business, whatever, anything that we can teach the younger audience here, not to make a mistake or learning lesson or whatever it is.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that, and I would tell younger Danny 10 years ago to say yes more often. I was a bit choosy back then. I thought I knew precisely where my life was going to be 10 years later. And eventually I got over that. But I would say no, because I would say no to things that weren't going to go where I thought I needed to be. And that's very limiting. My father passed away a couple of years ago, and he was a great guy. And he said something that always stuck with me. He said, Danny, life is sometimes very short, but it's wide. And I interpret that to mean, we've got this one wild and precious life, right? At least that we know of. And it can be as wide or as narrow as we make it. And 10 years ago, when I was kind of being very too choosy, I was actually not experiencing the width of my life, of my opportunity. And the moment I got over that, oh my God, it took me in directions I never thought possible. And so, once I started saying yes, even to the stuff that scared me, the stuff I wasn't sure if I knew it well enough and I was going to have to make sure I learned it, got some mastery over it quickly, that's when so many more opportunities presented themselves to me. And, and then eventually I founded a company, sold a company, and then eventually found Apis and absolutely love working for them and saw a great opportunity to help them. So, yeah, that's what it would be. It'd be to say yes more often. Don't be afraid to say yes. Don't be afraid to succeed in areas you didn't think you were capable of succeeding in. That's what I would say to myself.
I love that. I love that. That's so true. And it's just, you think as you're growing up in high school and college and And then even, when you're out as a young man or young woman, you have this life all mapped out and you're going to do this and do that. And it doesn't typically work out the way you planned it, but that's okay. And I like that philosophy. You say yes more, and whatever lane you wind up in, you do your best. You jump in head first, even if it's scary. It's okay. You try it. What's the worst thing to lose? You fail.
You'll grow.
Jump up
You'll
again.
grow either way.
That's right. That's right. And industry related or not, these are facts, that you can learn from and not be scared. And I think that's such a huge deal. It also makes me just another quick story. I think back like my first NALBA meeting, we had these big industry meetings, and I was a kid, like 23 years old, and I was trying to look like a big shot and like I knew what I was doing, and would make my voice sound deeper to, sound older and more professional. And, and I was so scared just to walk in this huge conference room, and I was part of a team, like a breakout session. And I'll just never forget sweating and, dripping. I was so nervous. And then, now, we're actually pretty recently, I was invited to be on the board at NALBA. So the point is, the little Billy would have said, Bill, do not walk in that room. Maybe just tell them you don't feel well and that you're going to miss that day. And by jumping in head first and saying yes, look at the result, right? So, I love all of that. It's some great points here.
Okay.
All right, good stuff. Anything else that you want to leave the audience with, Danny, before we put a bow on this? Any last words?
We've covered a lot. But just reiterating, try everything. Don't let fear paralyze you. Or the paralysis of analysis. I love data. I love to analyze data, but you can never be paralyzed by what it tells you. And, whether it's data about your own life, your own personal decisions, be quick to forgive yourself and move forward, because it is that next step. And it's usually the step you're most afraid to take. At least I've learned this from myself. The step you're most afraid to take is usually the one you're supposed to take. And so that's why you shouldn't be afraid of it, because you just grow forward and you will find yourself in even better spots than you thought you could be. So whether it's technology, whether it's making the sale, whether it's calling that client, just do it. But what do you have to lose? So make the most of it.
I love it. I love that. You're listening to the two of us. You're amped up. You're ready to go. And now the key is going to be that consistency part, because you got to have this same feeling, next Tuesday and next Friday and the month after that, even when you don't feel like it. You got to remember this. That's why you got to write these down. And you got to make sure whatever, Tony Robbins says, you pinch your earlobe, you get in the same state, so I don't care whatever you pinch, do whatever it takes, but you got to stay in that mindset, to be successful and keep your foot on the gas. Okay, I'm going to leave you with a couple nuggets that I learned today, even from Danny, from myself, some things I want you to walk away with and write down. Please, I want to make sure you got the most out of this 42 and a half minutes with me and Danny today. So real important, staying curious, right, about all these new platforms. If it's even starting your own podcast like we're doing right now, okay? Stay curious, take action, try these things. You have nothing to lose, okay? Say yes more, just like Danny mentioned. I love that. I wrote it down for myself, okay? Sometimes you get a little personal business, it doesn't matter. Walk in head first, okay? And those hardest meetings or the hardest gym sessions or when you don't feel like it and you have a headache, when you come out, when the meeting is over or the gym session is over, you always feel the best, okay? And there's a reason behind that. So don't forget that. Write these things down. Don't forget them. Put them in your notes app. I don't care. Whatever yellow loose leaf folder, it doesn't matter. But these are very, very important things. You're listening to two professionals in their field, and we both, right, have made a difference, okay? And we're just getting started. So learn from us. We'll learn from you at the same time. Hopefully we'll see you at the expo in a couple weeks in South Florida on the beach. Make sure you're registered, and then Danny McKeever, I want to thank you. You were amazing, as always. Make sure you look him up. Follow Apis Productions on LinkedIn, okay? And you can leave a few comments. Tell us what you thought about today's episode, whatever it takes. If you have questions for him or want to utilize their services, let us know. We'll make the introduction to Danny and his team. And with that said, great selling. Thank you again for taking the time, and hopefully you learned from us and walked away with some great nuggets. We will see you in a couple of weeks and next month at the Bill Levinson Experience podcast. Thank you again, everyone.
Thank you for joining us for the Bill Levinson Experience. Please feel free to share this podcast with anyone you think would be interested. You may also visit levinsonandassociates.com and all of Bill Levinson's social media pages for more information.